Good morning and welcome to Behind the Screen. I am Jam. This is a show where we hang out, we talk about role-playing games primarily, things that are beautiful, things that inspire us, things that make us want to be better players, game masters, and hopefully better people. Hi, good morning. I'm JM, and this is where we're going to continue talking about New Helios. I have been flabbergasted at how positively people have been responding and interacting with the New Helios forum on the iconic Discord server. So first of all, to everyone who has added things, especially to Zeddy, thank you so much. I am so excited that this idea has kind of grabbed you all as much as it's grabbed me. And hopefully by the end of right around Thanksgiving is when I hope to release the beta draft of the setting guide and kind of the rules for using it as a game master. And then I'm going to start running my Ascendant games come first of the year. Good morning to John Doom and to Tink and to Grom. That's totally fine. You don't need to pay attention, Grom. It's to John Doom. It's okay. But it is good to see John Doom in the chat. Also, later next week, I'm going to be doing a review once I get a chance to run this at the table. Somebody on the iconic Discord server was like, hey, what are your thoughts on Daggerheart? And I was like, well, I haven't read it yet. And then I saw there were frog people, and one of the players in my Tuesday game has a totally normal and healthy obsession with frogs and frog people in role-playing games. And so that was, kind of a no-brainer. So I'm going to run it on the 7th, and then hopefully after my TPK event, we'll chat about Daggerheart. Ross, good to see you. So, what are we talking about today? Well, we're talking about the factions. We've got two more, this one and one more, so like a three little block of the factions in New Helios City. And the previous one we talked about was about the heroes, like the hero teams, independents, the tiers of teams, that sort of thing. And today we are talking about evil. Good morning, James. Good to see you. So, we established that there really are going to be three tiers of heroics in New Helios City. We've got kind of our street level heroes, which fills kind of our Gotham City Marvel Knights band of superheroes. Then we're going to have city heroes, which are represented by Knights Inc. I wonder where that one may have come from, which is the superhero team that is focused solely on the city, but are sponsored by the government of New Helios City. Whereas, or the mayoral office, I think is the better way to put that. Whereas the Olympians are sponsored by the Kronos Corporation, which is sort of this high-tech conglomerate that has decided that New Helios City is going to be its home. There's going to be some contention between those two teams. And then we have a higher-level team that is there by the kind of the UN's super team. And New Helios City is large enough that one of their branches is available on site. So those are kind of our three tiers: street level, local, and global superheroes. Now, when we talk about other factions, one of the beautiful things about superhero games is everything can exist there and does sort of, it's like Schrodinger's plots. They exist until either the GM or the player decides to do something with it. Will I have Atlantis or Lemuria in my game? I don't know. Could I? 100%. Are there alien races that visit Earth for both altruistic, benevolent, and nefarious purposes? There could be, especially if a player comes to me and says, hey, I really want to play a super villain, if you will, or a super alien from another lizard people. Valentine will show up, Cripright will show up, and then want me to rewind the whole thing, which I would do for him. Oh, Tuesday we have another signal boost for Other Worlds Than These, and I wanted to remember that because I am wearing my Go Then, There Are Other Worlds Than These t-shirt, which Cripwright correctly identified as a Dark Tower quote back in the day. So those are the same three bands. I realize I got wildly afield. Those are the same three bands that I want to focus on for superheroes or for our supervillains. And then the interesting thing is, in a super game, not all villainous factions have to be super powered. So, for example, I think on our street level, I would like to have 3 or 4 different, what we'll call gang level influences. Drug runners, traffickers, even just violent groups that exist kind of on the street level of the city. Padre, welcome and congratulations to Padre again. Padre won the Other Worlds Than These award for the first 2 weeks. I'm going to be sending him out I think you chose, Padre, if I remember correctly, you were getting, let me find my Padre conversation. You're getting the Warhammer Fantasy Soulbound starter box as soon as everything gets closed, and I can send that out to you. The one that's coming at the end of next week is going to come from Palladium Books. Kevin Simbita has offered to put together a Other Worlds Than These care package because he loves the idea. And if you follow Palladium Books, he does a weekly newsletter. His weekly newsletter last week ended with a discussion of being the light we want to see because of the way gaming works and the ways communities work. It was a really great way to end the newsletter last week. So we're going to have a couple of cartels, gangs, that sort of thing, maybe a low-key terrorist organization that might possibly... I like the idea of them being anti-metahuman. Like an anti-metahuman. So we're going to have cartel. We're going to have a couple of gangs. And I definitely want to have a terrorist group that is anti-metahuman. Now, granted, this anti-meta terrorist group is going to function as targeting like street level heroes because at this point they don't have enough firepower to take out even a local hero. But the idea is, if left unabated, these factions will continue to evolve. Maybe our terrorist group ends up making a big score that no one decides to interrogate or investigate. And suddenly now they have armory and they move up a tier. Yes, a little like the boys, John Doom. But again, like they tier up. In that book that I was reading, the DC Comics Guide to Writing Comics, there is what was referred to as the Levitz method. And if you are a fan of old school Legion of Superheroes, Paul Levitz, I think is who it was, who was the writer. He didn't do arcs. He didn't do issues. He did sort of this ever escalating series of plots, and he would map it out on a grid. So issue 1 had a main plot and a B plot, and issue 2 had the A, B, and now a C plot. But as soon as the first plot gets resolved in issue 3, then all of those other plots kind of move up to take the next step in the story. It's kind of like using clocks, if you guys are familiar with that term in role-playing games, where you set a timer, and each session that goes by or each interval that goes by, the players don't do something, the clock runs down, and when the clock hits 0, something happens. And so I like the idea that the villainous factions could be fairly fluid. And yes, Tink wants it. I'm giving you an anti-Benny for Cranny Levitz, Tink. And when you inevitably complain about that in our game, I will point you back to this timestamp. 11 minutes and 53 seconds into this stream. But the other thing is, I want a cult. I want to have several cults. Tink was like, this. You know what this campaign setting needs? The Supermarches needs more cults. And so I like kind of a low-level cult, probably around a vampire, because I do like having the supernatural elements in my Supermarches games. Who is so in the current run of Moon Knight by Jed McKay, which is spectacular. It starts off with Moon Knight investigating an MLM that turns out to be a vampire cult, and that basically the higher you move up in this MLM, the closer you get to becoming a vampire. And then once you are made a vampire, you then can start your own. I'm thinking now of the Office episode where they're like, "You're in a pyramid scheme, Michael." No, it's multi-level marketing. See, I get one. Here's me, and then I recruit 2 people, and then they each recruit 2 people, and Jim just gets up and draws the pyramid around the marketing scheme. But that is just like a great idea. And then John Doom had an idea for like a pusher, like a telepath, or Maxwell Lord, if you are a fan of 90s Justice League or Prelude to Infinite Crisis awfulness. The idea that there's also, and I think that's going to be, so I want the vampire cult on the street level. But then on the local level, I love this idea of a pusher cult. So basically a group of low-level telepaths that are essentially like a hedge fund, like a group of hedge fund managers or people who use their low-level telepathy, maybe even can cause latent telepaths to gain the ability to push, kind of taking over and spreading their influence throughout the city. And everyone thinks they're just really good at what they do, but in fact, they are mental. Yes, like Nexium. Exactly like Nexium. I don't know if you've watched that documentary on HBO, but it is terrifying. Pusher cult equals Nexium. Padre thinks we should have a super group that is fighting against the terrorists, but it's superhero terrorists. So yes, at the global level, I'm going to be honest. We don't have to do it this way, but I want some sort of Cobra-esque band of super terrorists who use super tech and forcibly uplift people, forcibly activate their metahuman gene. In Ascendant, there is a terrorist organization that basically is like, we're going to make everyone an Ascendant, whether they want to be or not. And so they commit acts of atrocity. They commit atrocities so that people who can become Ascendant arise out of the ashes of these atrocities to make more Ascendants. It's sort of like the idea of the Gospel of Judas, where these guys are out there being evil so that good can shine and more heroes can rise. So yeah, we'll definitely have the Judas cult / Cobra at the global level. I also like Molly's idea of a doomsday cult at the local level. And then that also ties in with like Dionysus and some of our other sort of Greco-Roman ideals that are coming through here. I do want to have a local supervillain team like the Rogues. Not like Batman's villains. Batman's villains are all sort of independent, but like the Rogues of Flash all work together, or the Masters of Evil in Marvel Comics, right? Very rarely, if you see one, are the rest not far behind. Oh, the Morlocks! What a great group, Grom. We should definitely have some Morlocks living in the ruins of old Helios City. Man, all right, I'm going to make that note for next session. Morlocks. All right, Masters of Evil. Evil are the Rogues. I also like the idea that there is the heroic team who caused the incident, the event, the late unpleasantness, as John Doom may say, is the Padre. There you go. I missed that. Have fractured. Some of them are independents. They're reviled, they're hated, but they're trying to redeem themselves. And the other have kind of coalesced into this, well, if we are as bad as everyone says we are, screw it, we're going to be that bad. And so we're to call them the remnants. And then at the global level, there needs to be a couple of like villain. And again, we're talking factions. There will, of course, be independent people. There will be independent rulers of fictional nations who constantly come to New Helios City to prove their superiority. There will be governments that get involved. But I kind of want 2 more global factions that are villainous. And I really think one of them should be a department, like a shadow department in the US government, a la Checkmate, or the DEO, or Argus. Did you steal that from Rise of the Rune Lords? I don't care. So we're gonna have some sort of Argus entity, and then Molly likes a hive mind of villains. There was a great Superman villain called Hive, Hive, and it stood for something, or like AIM in Marvel Comics. But I like this hive mind. Maybe it's a super virus, and the virus connects people's minds, but the virus is also sentient. And so like anyone infected with this virus is part of this viral collective. And then we need something awful, like just something truly horrific, like the Legion of Doom, or the Injustice Society, which are basically the same thing, depending on who's writing. But we need some sort of global superhero threat or supervillain threat, some meta existence. And maybe that is that's our Judas cult, right? And then we have our Cobra, which is our terrorist organization. And we have Argus, or our U.S. government plant. And then the Viral Collective. The Legion of John Doom. In Section 31 in Star Trek, which don't get me started, or Bureau 13 out of Babylon 5, which, if you are a fan of the role-playing game Bureau 13, as I understand it, one of the guys in the writer's room was too, and was like, we should call it Bureau 13, and everyone ran with it. And then he was like, this is my favorite role-playing game. And they were like, crap, we're all going to get sued. I could be wrong. That may be why they never show up again in Babylon 5, but I find it interesting. Yes, or the Monster Control Bureau in Monster Hunter International. Man, what a great little series. Ross, glad to hear it. Welcome to the Twitch side. So that's it. That's kind of, we have like a very streamlined heroic faction, which I think is good. We have our street level team, and we've got names from, they'll all get put up on the Google Doc. We have Knights Inc., we have the Olympians, then we have the UN team. So there's like 4 heroic factions that you can deal with. And we've come up with 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 villainous factions and a couple of independents. And we're going to talk about the independents next week, because I like the idea of having some factions that start off potentially neutral as far as the law, chaos, good, evil spectrum goes, and how the players interact with them can kind of tip them one way or the other. But I am so excited about our Supermarches game. We're planning probably after GameholeCon to do either a live stream or just a hangout where we make some Ascendant characters and really see how they come together. I am going to, hopefully by the end of October, release a couple of highly edited, with overlays and such, videos for how to play Ascendant on the stream, as I'm starting to parse and really dig into that. So I do miss Babylon 5. I've rewatched it several times. Zane has watched it all the way through, and he really wanted to do a rewatch. So we're getting back into Babylon 5. We're about halfway through season 3. So we're like over halfway through the show. So that's it. That's all I have for today on the Villainous Factions. Thank you all for joining me. Until next time, please stay safe, stay healthy, stay gaming. I am JM. This has been Behind the Screen, and I will see you all later. Until then, have a good one, everybody.